Impeached South Korean president arrested for botched martial law bid. And mediators making final push to seal Gaza truce deal. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Brendan Nepal. Malaysia welcomes companies from the United Arab Emirates UAE to invest in Malaysia involving renewable energy projects including data centres. According to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, he had held meetings with sovereign wealth fund companies from the country during his 3-day working visit to the UAE. During the meeting with UAE state-owned renewables firm Masdar, the government informed them that it would facilitate Masdar's investment plans in Malaysia through joint ventures with local companies for green energy projects, infrastructure, battery storage and strengthening the energy grid. He also welcomed Abu Dhabi Investment Authority (ADIA) intention to collaborate with global infrastructure partners GIP on the privatisation of Malaysia Airport Holdings Berhad MAHB.
Penyertaan ADIA itu penting sebab ADIA punya pengalaman di Dubai, Abu Dhabi dan penyertaan mereka dalam Heathrow dan Paris. Peserta MAHB ini akan melibatkan, saya tegaskan, kerjasama yang erat di antara Khazanah dan Abu Dhabi. Dan pimpinan ADIA, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, dengan dukungan pimpinan negara telah menyatakan bahawa mereka anggap projek ini projek yang agak utama.
He also said his meeting with Mubadala discussed the production of liquefied natural gas LNG and the development of gas-related infrastructure along with projects in JSS. Earlier, the Prime Minister attended the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week ADSW 2025, graced by UAE President and Abu Dhabi ruler Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. During the plenary session, Dr. Sri Anwar conveyed Malaysia's voice regarding the future of ASEAN, which requires precise unity in promoting the region as an outstanding bloc in terms of economy and culture. He also shared Malaysia's aggressive initiatives in promoting global economic development, along with the implementation of a more effective, orderly and systematic energy transition and green investment to enhance its image, reputation and appeal as a preferred green investment destination. Meanwhile, Prime Minister is now in the United Kingdom for a 5-day working visit. The aircraft carrying the Prime Minister landed at the Stansted Airport at 10:50 p.m. local time from Abu Dhabi, where the Premier had just concluded his 3-day visit to the United Arab Emirates. This visit, which is at the invitation of his UK counterpart Keir Starmer, marks Datuk Sri Anwar's first visit to the UK since taking office in November 2022. Datuk Sri Anwar is scheduled to hold a bilateral meeting with Starmer to review the progress of Malaysia-UK bilateral relations and discuss efforts to strengthen collaboration in trade and investment. The Prime Minister will also host a roundtable and one-on-one business sessions with industry leaders and officiate the Malaysia Auditorium at the London School of Economics LSE before giving a special lecture. Trade and investment remain key pillars of Malaysia-UK relations, with the UK being Malaysia's 4th largest trading partner among European countries, with total trade amounting to $3.34 billion. In other news, impeached South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol was arrested on Wednesday over his failed martial law bid after hundreds of anti-graft investigators and police raided his residence to end a weeks-long standoff. Yoon, who faces charges of insurrection over his short-lived effort to impose martial law last month, is the first sitting president in the nation's history to be arrested. Yoon had sought to evade arrest for weeks by remaining in his presidential compound, protected by members of the Presidential Security Service (PSS), who had remained loyal to him. Yoon's guards had installed barbed wire and barricades at the residence, turning it into what the opposition called a fortress. A first attempt on 3rd January failed after a tense hours-long standoff between the guards and anti-graft investigators working with police. However, before dawn on Wednesday, hundreds of police officers and investigators from the Corruption Investigation Office again surrounded the residence. After another few hours of a standoff, authorities announced Yoon had been arrested and the impeached leader released a pre-recorded video message. In the video message, Yoon said he did not accept the legality of the investigation but was complying, quote, to prevent any unfortunate bloodshed. Yoon left his residence in a convoy and was taken to the offices of the Corruption Investigation Office. He could face the death penalty or life in jail if he is found guilty of insurrection. Mediators were making a final push Wednesday to seal a Gaza truce and hostage release deal after Qatari officials involved in the talks expressed hope an agreement could be reached, quote, very soon. Qatar, Egypt, the United States have intensified efforts to broker a ceasefire to enable the release of hostages. US President Joe Biden and his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said in a phone call Tuesday that both sides needed to show flexibility to get a deal over the line. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu went into a meeting with top security officials late Tuesday to discuss the deal. Qatar's Foreign Ministry spokesman Majid al-Ansari said Tuesday that negotiations were in their final stages and mediators were hopeful they would lead very soon to an agreement. Biden on Monday said that an agreement was on the brink of being finalized, just ahead of the inauguration of his successor, Donald Trump. Hamas said it hoped for a clear and comprehensive agreement, adding it had informed other Palestinian factions of the progress made. On Tuesday, a far-right member of Netanyahu's government, National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, said he opposed what he described as a disastrous deal. The day before, Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, also a far-right cabinet member, had warned he too would oppose any agreement to stop the war. Israel's retaliatory campaign in Gaza has killed 46,645 people. And yet to come, Russia, Vietnam sign nuclear energy agreement. Stay tuned. Russia and Vietnam signed an agreement on nuclear energy on Tuesday during a visit by Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin, aimed at deepening ties between the two long-standing allies. Vietnam wants to restart nuclear power plants to meet its rapidly expanding energy needs and is hoping that Russia can help. No details about the agreement were immediately available. However, Vietnam's Science and Technology Ministry said on Tuesday, Alexei Likhachev, General Director of Russia's nuclear giant Rosatom, was very interested in cooperating with Vietnam on the Ninh Thuan nuclear power project. The project, which involves two plants in central Ninh Thuan province with a combined capacity of 4,000 megawatts. The project was originally to be developed with assistance from Rosatom and the Japanese consortium Gennady before plans were scrapped in 2016. Likhachev was in Hanoi on Monday to meet Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, their third meeting in 6 months. The nuclear deal was among 7 signed in a range of fields that also included digital technology and electronics. The trip comes half a year after President Vladimir Putin traveled to Hanoi, where Vietnam's then President Tu Lam indicated a desire to boost defense cooperation with Moscow. Cuba said Tuesday it would release 553 prisoners in response to Washington removing the communist country from its list of terror sponsors in a deal hailed by relatives of jailed protesters. The White House said President Joe Biden was removing Cuba from the list of state sponsors of terrorism in one of his last official acts before Donald Trump is sworn in next Monday. The move will likely be overturned by Trump, who reinstated Cuba's terror designation in the final days of his first term of office in 2021. The deal was negotiated with the help of the Catholic Church for the release of political prisoners in Cuba and those who have been detained unjustly. Family members of jailed protesters hailed the announcement. Some of the prisoners had taken part in anti-government protests with thousands of other Cubans in July 2021, fueled by power blackouts and soaring food prices. One person was killed and dozens injured in the protests, which Havana accused Washington of orchestrating. According to official Cuban figures, some 500 people were given sentences of up to 25 years in prison for participating. However, rights groups and the U.S. Embassy say the figure is closer to 1,000. Some have already been freed after serving their sentences. Powerful winds forecast for late Tuesday night threaten to whip up massive fires that are still burning around Los Angeles in a tragedy that's killed at least 24 people and badly shaken the city. A week after blazes erupted and spread uncontained, forecasters predicted particularly dangerous Santa Ana winds would spike the wildfire threat anew for already exhausted firefighters. A large part of Southern California was under a red flag warning, indicating that intense dryness and furious winds gusting up to 110 kilometers an hour would make conditions ripe for wildfire. Part of Los Angeles County and much of neighboring Ventura County were in a particularly dangerous situation, its highest warning designation that was also declared before last week's deadly blazes. Forecasters said peak winds were now expected between 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. local time on Wednesday. The Palisades and Eaton fires, both of which are still burning in places, could flare up, and new ignitions could quickly turn problematic. Gusting winds were also whipping up toxic ash, with health officials urging everyone to wear a mask. Officials insisted they were poised for any renewed threats, particularly around the existing burn sites, after hydrants ran dry in the initial firefight. Outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden on Tuesday designated 2 large areas of California as protected national monuments after the initial ceremony was called off due to wildfires breaking out in Los Angeles. Less than a week before Donald Trump is due to move into the White House, Biden established the Chuckwalla National Monument, a 624,000-acre area near Joshua Tree National Park in Southern California. The move protects the land from drilling, mining, solar energy farms and other industrial activity and comes after lobbying from Native American tribes who have used the land for millennia. He also declared the establishment of the 224,000-acre Satitla National Monument in the state's far north at the border with Oregon, offering that area the same environmental safeguards. Biden originally traveled to California last week to hold the signing ceremony with a picturesque nature backdrop, but was forced to call off the visit over extreme winds. The winds contributed to the rapid spread of multiple wildfires in Los Angeles, which have since destroyed thousands of structures and killed at least 24 people. As the wildfires continue to burn, Biden said Tuesday his administration was working with state leaders to, quote, make sure California has every possible resource to fight these fires and help survivors. Biden's four-year term in office has seen the creation of 8 other national monuments and the expansion of 4 more. Spanish police said on Tuesday they had apprehended a gang suspected of smuggling more than 40,000 tons a year of untreated urban waste from Italy to Spain. In a statement, police said Italian waste treatment companies, which were not named, had paid smugglers over 19 million euros since 2021 to dispose of the waste, including hazardous and toxic materials. The waste was mainly urban rubbish generated by Italian citizens, although it was mixed with other kinds of materials. 15 people and 7 companies are under investigation on suspicion of belonging to a criminal organization, crimes against natural resources and the environment, and forgery. Even though the Italian companies had been contracted to manage the urban waste, they would divert its disposal to Spain in order to save costs, this resulting in millions of euros in revenue at the expense of the Italian treasury. The gang set up a series of front companies, falsifying documents to make it look as though the waste had undergone treatments that were never carried out. South African rescue team hauled up dozens of illegal miners and bodies from an abandoned gold mine on Tuesday after a months-long siege by authorities trying to force the miners to the surface to arrest them. Police had encircled the mine in the town of Stilfontein, about 150 kilometers from Johannesburg, since August as part of a crackdown on illegal mining, which has plagued South Africa for decades through small-time pilfering and organized criminal networks. They initially cut off the miners' food and water supplies before a court ordered in December that volunteers should be allowed to send down essential aid. Another court ruling late last week ordered the state to ensure that rescue operations began. Rescue efforts started on Monday when about 35 trapped miners and corpses were brought to the surface. On Tuesday morning, a similar number of miners and corpses were hoisted up more than 2-kilometer deep shaft in a metal cage. The government's crackdown on illegal mining, part of the operation called Vala Umgodi, or Close the Hole, in the Sezulu language, has drawn criticism from human rights organizations and local residents for being heavy-handed. In mid-November, a cabinet minister said authorities wanted to smoke out the miners at Stilfontein and would not send them help. In sports, late Brentford equaliser denies City's return to title race. Stay with us.
Thalassemia adalah sejenis penyakit genetik yang mengakibatkan gangguan dalam proses pembentukan sel darah merah. Secara umumnya, thalassemia boleh dibahagikan kepada 2 kategori, iaitu pembawa dan pesakit thalassemia. Status thalassemia hanya boleh diketahui dan disahkan melalui ujian saringan darah. Dapatkan khidmat nasihat daripada pegawai perubatan di klinik kesihatan berhampiran anda.
And welcome back. Kicking off our sports segment with football. Liverpool salvaged a 1-1 draw against Nottingham Forest as Diogo Jota's equaliser rescued the Premier League leaders from a damaging defeat against their unexpected title rivals on Tuesday. And the slot side were rocked by Chris Wood's early opener for Forest, but Jota came off the bench to level in the second half of a pulsating clash. Liverpool remains 6 points clear of Forest, who climb into second place above Arsenal before the Gunners face Tottenham on Wednesday. After appearing set to win their first Premier League title since 2020 at a canter following their electric start to the season, Liverpool have suffered a mini blip with 2 successive draws in the top flight. Arsenal can take advantage of Liverpool's wobble by closing the gap to 4 points if they win the North London derby, although the leaders will have a game in hand on Mikel Arteta's men. Liverpool have lost just once in 20 league games this season, their only defeat coming against Forest at Anfield in September. But their 2-2 draw with lowly Manchester United and a 1-0 League Cup semi-final first leg defeat at Tottenham had raised rare questions about Slot's otherwise immaculate maiden campaign. Meanwhile, any suggestion Manchester City could get themselves back in the title race was ended in a late collapse in West London as Brentford struck twice in the final 10 minutes for a deserved point. Phil Foden's double had City on course for a 4th consecutive win after a run of just 1 victory in 13 games. However, the English champions' defending was not convincing all night, and they were punished as Johan Wieser and Christian Ronaldo netted for the Bees. Foden's return to the form that saw him crowned Premier League Player of the Year last season was the one positive for City. Brentford completed the comeback in stoppage time when Nogo's header had too much power for Stefan Ortega. But Pep Guardiola will reflect on a missed opportunity to make up ground on the top 4 as City remain down in 6th, 12 points off the top. In other football news, Cristiano Ronaldo is reportedly set to ink a deal to extend his stay at Saudi Pro League outfit Al Nassr, with media reports indicating the move would cement the Portuguese international as the highest paid football player on the planet. The former Real Madrid star's current contract is due to expire at the end of the current season. Ronaldo joined Al Nassr in a blockbuster move in January 2023 that helped kickstart a flood of top talent making their way to the West Asia region. The Portugal international received a staggering contract which sees him make around €164 million per season for his on-pitch contributions, with another €49 million of his salary coming from ventures off the field. The 39-year-old has enjoyed a prolific spell in Riyadh, netting 75 goals in the 84 games he has played for his side. Moving on to tennis, 4th seed Jasmine Paolini breezed past China's Zijia Wei 6-love, 6-4 to move into the second round of the Australian Open on Tuesday. The Italian reached 2 Grand Slam finals last year and is looking to improve on her 4th round exit at Melbourne Park in 2024. Paolini. In men's draw, Brazilian teenager João Fonseca stunned 9th seed Andrei Rublev in a major Australian Open shock on Tuesday as record-smashing 2024 finalist Daniil Medvedev narrowly avoided the same fate. Fonseca's first main draw match at the Slam had been eagerly anticipated, and the 18-year-old lived up to the hype with a stunning straight sets win in front of a captivated late-night crowd on Margaret Court Arena. He clinched the opening set with one of the many thundering forehand winners he struck and raised his level even further to cruise through the second set. Rublev dug deep in the third set and was a break ahead, but Fonseca showed incredible poise and maturity at critical moments to set up another tiebreaker. Showing no nerves, he ended the contest at the first opportunity by pounding a forehand beyond his Russian opponent, his 51st winner of the match. Rublev's fellow Russian, Medvedev, a 3-time losing finalist in Melbourne, including a year ago to Jannik Sinner, was heavy favourite against Thailand's 418-ranked Kasidit Samre. But in his first match of the season, the 5th seed nearly imploded in a fit of anger before finding some measure of calm. The frustrated Russian whacked his racket 5 times into the net after dropping serve in the third set before rallying to claim the match 6-2 for 6-3-6, 6-1, 6-2 in the afternoon sun at Rod Laver Arena. In motorsport, Qatari Nasser Al Attiyah hit the gas on Tuesday to win Stage 9 of the Dakar Rally as Saudi Yazid Al Raji took the lead in the drivers' standings. South African Henk Lottehan was dethroned, having dominated the standings since Stage 2, and is now 7 minutes 9 seconds behind the Saudi driver with 3 days to go. Five-time champion Al Attiyah covered the 357-kilometer special between Riyadh and Herat in 2 hours and 52 minutes and 59 seconds to keep in touch with the sixth Dakar title. The Qatari finished 2 minutes 47 seconds ahead of Belgian Guillaume Dimivius Mini and 3 minutes 12 seconds ahead of Al Raji's Overdrive. Having had to open the road following his victory in Stage 8, Lotterhan crossed in his Toyota 11th on the day, 16 minutes 2 seconds off the pace. Sweet Matthias Ekstrom in Ford engine is third overall at 24 minutes 50 seconds, less than a minute ahead of Al Attiyah. On the bikes, Argentine Luciano Benavides claimed his second straight stage win as Australian Daniel Sanders finished third to hold the overall category lead. KTM's Benavides finished 1 minute 54 seconds ahead of French driver Adrien van Beveren after the 357-meter special. Sanders crossed in third, 3 minutes 4 seconds off the pace to extend his lead on second place, Spaniard Tosha Scarena to 14 minutes and 45 seconds. Benavides started first after winning the 8th stage and opened the road, also benefiting from a bonus of 4 minutes 51 seconds for a time of 3 hours 15 minutes 38 seconds. The 29-year-old Argentine achieved the 5th Dakar stage win of his career and is now 4th overall, 27 minutes 44 seconds behind his teammate Sanders. In sailing, Frenchman Charlie Dallon arrived at port in the western French city of Les Sables d'Olonne to crowds cheering on his Vendée Globe win on Tuesday. Dallon, who raised his fist to the crowd and shook open a champagne bottle as his boat docked at port, completed the around-the-world sailing race in record time on Tuesday when he crossed the finish line in under 65 days. The full journey, however, was 4 years in the making after he came agonizingly close to victory in 2021. It marks the second time Dallon has crossed in the finish line first. He was denied victory in the 2020-21 edition after losing out to Yannick Verstappen, who received a time compensation for diverting to assist another competitor. This time, however, Dallon was in a league of his own after the massive Santé Prévoyance, skippered by the Frenchman, took the lead on December 30th as they navigated their way north in the Atlantic Ocean. And that's it from us this afternoon. A recap of our top story. Impeached South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol arrested over botched martial law bid. Do join us again this evening at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and Saluran Berita RTM for more. You can also always stream us online on RTM Click's website or mobile application. Till then, I'm Brenda Paul from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching. Take care.